When you take away spanking, like, what's left?
There's a lot of podcasts that aren't so good. So to promise to your listeners this is going to be the worst, I want to see how you bring that.
Do you like talking about hard things, Anna?
I do like talking about hard things.
Okay, Anna, again, that was the wrong answer. Katie, where did this prompt come from?
I'm failing a quiz about myself. Well, I wanted to know what you've learned from how you've been testing me.
Well, mostly I'm learning how nervous I get when I don't know what I'm doing. But, I put it on.
Alan.
My phone is on.
Rookie mistake.
I don't even know where
this is
my
his
phone
first
is.
podcast, Anna. Apologies.
Where is it? I got another thing to say about shitting in Italy. Can I say it?
Let's just throw it out there for good measure. Hello there. Yeah. It's me, Katie Lore, on the mic.
Okay,
Alan,
go ahead, Katie. Ask me your first question.
Well, Alan.
Yes.
It's another beautiful day on your podcast. The sun is shining. It's wonderful. I saw you outside eating a delicious, wonderful bagel. What was on it today?
It was butter and cheddar, although I have to tell you, one time I came and asked butter and cheddar, and I brought it up here, and it had jam.
Yeah.
And I was, like, really disappointed.
Yeah.
And then the last time I ordered butter and cheddar, the guy actually said to me, butter and jam? And I'm like, you know, it kind of goes back to, like, 2 or 3 weeks ago. There was a moment when I thought, or people thought, that I had a mini stroke. One of the things, if you have a mini stroke, is slurred speech. It literally says on Google, if you say cheddar but they hear jam, you might have had a stroke. No, I'm kidding. But I didn't have a stroke.
Good.
But I had to take quite a few tests to find out. But then, you know, they're asking you these questions, right? I was just thinking, like, what is it in me? Like when they said, did your arm get weaker? No. Did you have slurred speech? Like, that's how I wanted to answer. But as a joke, you know? Like why? You know, you kind of, what are you pointing at?
Just the prompts that I sent you.
You know I hate the prompts.
Yeah, but I don't care.
I mean...
You don't have to tackle any of these.
Can I read the prompts to the audience?
Yeah, but read
before the person comes in, just so they're on my side?
Yeah, for sure. Just read them out slowly so people can hear all of them.
Prompt 1, talking about hard thing.
Oh, there's supposed to be an S at the end of that.
What?
Hard things.
Hard things. Talking about hard things. So I should say to the guest, Katie tells me you'll tell me an amazing story if I say the words talking about hard things. And then the second one, if I say to them, you know, I look at your face and I think authenticity is unsustainable. And I know you have a very good story about that. Yeah. And then if I say to them, this one I don't even get. This is like...
The lucrative nature of oversharing.
That's like, yeah.
I thought you would love that prompt.
You're saying oversharing is lucrative?
Yes. This is something...
But the thing is, okay, so tell me the truth. Where are you getting these prompts from?
Googling them.
You're Googling them, and they said something 18 years ago, and they're supposed to remember, oh, wait, you're asking me about that question that I don't know.
Well, let me give you some clues about this guest. Okay, so...
This is a long preamble. But, you know, do you agree with me? This is the best part of the show. We should just fuck the guests. Talking about the guests and how bad the prompts are is a way better show than the show.
So you're saying you like the prompts now?
I don't think the prompts have been helpful to me, although they might be great.
Okay.
For a good host.
Yeah.
A better interviewer. A more cooperative individual. smarter. I don't know. They would have been excellent, but for me, they just confused me.
Okay, so we got to get to these clues before our guest joins us. So, first of all, this guest, as you mentioned, you wish this was hosted by an excellent interviewer. This person is an excellent interviewer.
Okay, let's just
so you're probably going to be interviewed.
Stop right now. Like when I signed up to do this, I didn't know that all my guests would be podcasters. It's a podcast where I interview podcasters who then go away and think, well, at least I'm better than that guy. You have comedians. I'm a funny guy, kind of, but I'm not as funny as a comedian. And I'm not as good a podcaster as a podcaster. So, okay, they're an excellent interviewer.
Well, you got it right on the money.
It's not Larry King.
But you were right. It is a podcaster. You nailed that on the head.
Because those are the only people you know. That's why you book them.
Actually, I don't know this person personally.
No, but I mean, those are the only people that are famous to you, is podcasters and other influencers.
So, can you guess who this podcaster might be then?
Jesse Brown?
Not this time.
Let's see. Jonathan Goldstein?
No, it's not. But we did email him.
He's great.
He's busy.
Ira Glass?
Nope.
I'm only
him.
naming Jews, you understand. So that's just a coincidence. Mark Maron?
No.
Also a Jew. I have one more guess. Hillary and Chelsea Clinton?
No.
Okay.
That would be wild. Our guest is super beloved across Canada and America for her podcast, Death, Sex, and Money, where she talks about death, sex, and money.
I don't believe she does.
She does. People love her because she is not afraid to ask hard questions, but in such a sweet and polite way that people just sort of have to answer them. So I'm very curious to see what you take away from this. In fact, she does consider herself a professional interviewer. And despite her sweetness, she's actually pretty edgy. Definitely has seen some shit in her life. Our guest is Anna Sale.
Anna Sale, okay. Death, Sex, and Money, where is that podcast available?
It's from Slate, but it used to be on WNYC.
Wow.
And
Slate and WNYC.
Yeah.
So she's a real podcaster.
Yeah, she's a real podcaster.
Okay, well, I mean, what do I got to lose except my show? I'm Alan Zweig. Some people have seen some of my films. People have said my films are dark. People have said my films are narcissistic. People have said that I get good interviews. I could make a meal out of that comment. This is the Worst Podcast, a name that I knew I would regret the minute I suggested it.
Do you have any questions for us just as we roll into this?
Yeah. I have a lot, but I'm just going to go with it. And I'm going to, if I have questions as we're going, I will raise my hand.
Okay, wonderful.
I don't have any questions for you, so you might have to have questions for me.
Okay. Alan, take it away. Welcome
Anna.
Thank you.
You have a very nice microphone there.
Thank you.
And you must be a professional.
I am.
Anna Sales. Is that your real name? Sales?
Yes, Sale, just S-A-L-E.
Oh, Sale. Okay.
Yeah, that is my real name.
What's the derivation of Sale? Anyway, who cares? Let's Anna, welcome. And do you have any complaints that you would like to air with us right now? Do you have anything bugging you right now?
I think my biggest complaint in the world is when I ask for something to be done and it's not possible to be done, people don't tell me no. They just ignore me. And this goes for my 7-year-old to in professional settings. I just wish more people would say, no, I can't do that right now. And here's why.
Katie tells me to do things and I go, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
Here's the thing that is the most gripe-inducing for me is when I ask a child to do something who is my child, and they look at me and they hear me and they nod, and then they turn and they go do something else. I just find that so infuriating.
Well, you know what? This is what you're reminding me of, which is at a certain point with my daughter, I realized when you take away spanking, like, what's left? Send her to her room? Yeah. She's like, I guess, take away her iPad or something like that. But the fact that my daughter is not a total monster is, I don't know, just sheer friggin' luck, because we have no tools to force them to do anything. What do you think about that, Anna?
I think that's true. My only leverage is I threaten to make them sit on the stairs, or I threaten to take away cookies. That's basically it.
I mean, you know what this reminds me of? This is completely kind of irrelevant, but like, okay, so the first thing is, you hear me talking about my daughter, you think, why is he talking about a 49-year-old like that? But no, I am 72, but my daughter's 13. So at my daughter's school, there was kids yelling in her ear in the class, and I said, why don't they kick them out? Like, I got kicked out into the hallway every day, and they said, oh, that's a safety issue. Okay, fine. But what's their solution? The kids who want quiet, they go into the hall.
Oh, wow.
That's the only place where there's peace and quiet for the kids. So they leave the monsters in the class, and the good kids go into the hallway. Anyway, your daughter is your only child now?
I have two daughters. They're 5 and 7. And that's why sitting on the stairs isn't a good punishment, because then they just like make funny faces to each other while one is sitting on the stairs. It's useless punishment.
Okay, so let me ask you this. What is the worst punishment you would let yourself mete out to your daughter?
Oh, that's a hard question.
Like, what could we do to our children that they would hate, but we wouldn't be arrested?
This is a question I have as a parent, because I do think the only tool I really have is shame. And it's how much shame am I willing to rain down on them? Because I do think shame is an important tool to help people make good decisions in their behavior. But you're also, it's hard to think about really bringing down the shame.
Yeah. The other day, it was actually at the Passover Seder, I said, I could really embarrass my daughter now, just as a joke. And later she was so pissed at me, even for saying that I could embarrass her, even for not even embarrassing her.
She was pissed you had the idea.
She got embarrassed at me saying I could embarrass you. And I realized that is my Achilles heel as a parent, is that, I so want to tell some story about something she did. I mean, when they're younger, you can, because they don't know you're telling the stories. But when they're older, you can't tell embarrassing stories about them anymore. It makes being a parent a lot less fun. That's what I think. Anyway, Anna.
I agree. I grew up in a family where there was a lot of teasing, and I find that is such a knee-jerk response. My husband calls it my sale coming out. It's like when I want to create a bond by telling a funny story about something boneheaded my husband did or something my child did that was funny, and they hate it. And I try not to do it, but it's so ingrained in that's how you show love.
I mean,
is you tease.
Yeah, that is sad. It is sad. I'm telling you, it's like
it's sad. Basically
one big fucking tool of our DNA. They're saying, don't do that. Like, what's fucking left? Like, oh, everybody, my child is so nice and I love her so much. And, oh, look, she ate everything on her plate. Like, yeah, anyway. So, Anna, what did you think when you heard that the podcast, it's called The Worst Podcast?
I thought, oh, I'm very interested in this. I'm interested in hearing what it sounds like when a host is both not bought in and a little bit doesn't have a plan. It feels exciting to me. It feels like performance art.
Okay.
I also think there's some swagger in the name of it because
What?
there's a lot of podcasts that aren't so good.
Right.
So to promise to your listeners this is going to be the worst, I want to see how you bring that.
You know what? I will be honest with you. I've heard some podcasts, and I know I can't do worse than them. Katie, what do you want me to do now?
Well, you can ask Anna about any of the various prompts.
Okay, Anna, this is the worst thing in my job, is to use Katie's prompts.
He hates the prompts.
Okay, now let's pretend I haven't said the word prompts or insulted my co-host, and we're just talking, and I go, you know, Anna, I've always thought that authenticity was unsustainable. What do you think? Now, Anna, I'm going to tell you, once upon a time, you said something about this. Katie Googled it, so you better have an answer.
Did I say authenticity was unsustainable? I was like, where have I heard that before? Where have I heard that before? Authenticity is not sustainable. I feel...
It was one of your episodes, Anna.
Oh.
Did you had episode 13 of your podcast is called Authenticity is Unsustainable. That's how much they're finished and you forget about them. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, here's what that makes me think about. If authenticity means that you have to be granting access to your vulnerability at all times, I do think that is unsustainable.
Oh.
I think at a certain point, if you forge a connection with someone using the tool of exposing some of your vulnerability, there's this other side to it where you, at least in my life, I've come to respect some of the parts of me that I keep private.
Okay, are you saying, you could be saying two things. I totally don't understand this thing. Like if somebody said to me this thing, I wouldn't know what to say. By the way, Katie, I don't have the list of worst questions.
Oh, you don't?
Yeah. So that, do you have?
I have it on my laptop.
You have it on your laptop?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think fake authenticity is unsustainable.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know. Authenticity is a funny word because when people say to me, which they have, what I like about you is that you're authentic. I just don't even know what the fuck that means. Like,
I think it means you talk about your bowel movements on your podcast.
okay. Well, that's a good definition. Well, I can sustain that. You know, sometimes, Anna, I feel this profound aloneness. What about you? Also, she Googled this, so come on. Come up with something.
Profound aloneness. Oh,
That
sure,
was your-
I have felt...
That was
Did
your
I say that
episode
somewhere else?
3 in season 2. Profound aloneness.
It's deep in the depths of your bio on your website, Anna.
I talk about profound aloneness?
You know why
Yeah.
this? You know why this is the worst podcast? Because I ask a question, and then you don't understand it, and then the researcher has to explain to you where they got the research.
Yeah, and then we find out Anna hasn't updated her website in years.
Did I talk about me being profoundly alone? I would venture that most people on planet Earth have felt profoundly alone. That's why I like the work that we get to do, because the whole mission of our work, whether it's conversations and interviews or making people laugh, it's like giving them a little bit, reaching across and saying like, there's some part of this that I also get, where you have felt all on your own.
Yeah. You know, when I came up with the idea for the show, I thought people would feel better knowing that there's horrible things happening to other people. But what I realize now is the purpose of the show is for people who are very bad at their job to listen and go, look, that guy has a podcast and he sucks at it. I shouldn't feel so bad. Anyway, let's move. We have never done Katie's prompts fully.
I am
but
loving
since
this.
Since it might be the last show Katie and I do, let's go on to, you know what? You know what I like in my podcast? And I'm sure you do in yours? Okay, this is talking about hard things. Now, we don't
Okay.
mean the sex part of your thing. We're talking about other hard things. aren't we?
Got it.
Well, it could be all the hard things.
Okay. Do you like talking about hard things, Anna?
I do like talking about hard things. And why do I like talking about hard things?
What's the hardest thing you've ever talked about on your podcast?
I mean, the hardest thing for me to talk about are things where I feel clumsy and stupid and like I've messed up. I can talk to other people about their hard things till I'm blue in the face. But the moments that I really can remember physically feeling uncomfortable is when I feel exposed and off balance.
Okay, Anna, again, that was the wrong answer. Katie, where did this prompt come from?
Anna has
I'm failing a quiz about myself.
It's called Let's Talk About Hard Things.
Oh, yeah, I wrote a book.
You have a book called Let's Talk About Hard Things?
I do.
Okay, finally, this is your last chance at... you know what? Here's the thing. It's not you that's failing. It's Katie. But anyway...
I think Katie's doing a great job.
Thank you so much, Anna. I'm putting that on my LinkedIn.
I find oversharing to have a lucrative nature. What about you?
Yes. Well, oversharing, I feel like, is a judgy word. Who's deciding what's the sharing threshold?
Yeah, I know I overshare. Like, do you overshare? You must. I mean, if your podcast contains the word sex, there must be some oversharing, although maybe you don't.
Yeah, I share. I definitely share parts of myself, maybe beyond what is conventional for traditional journalism. But do I overshare? I don't think so.
I don't think I do either. I mean...
You don't? The Worst Podcast is brought to you by AG1.
AG1 is a foundational nutrition supplement that delivers daily nutrients and gut health support and is backed by multiple research studies, so you can trust what you're putting in your body. Katie, tell me about how you use AG1.
I use it in a smoothie. Every single morning I have a recipe of Greek yogurt, a little packet of AG1 or the scoop, a little droplet of the D3K2, and then usually like half juice and half water.
Okay. What is the one thing that has changed in your body that you can attribute to AG1?
I would say I definitely have felt more energy over the last, I guess it's been 6 months now.
I'm going to put in a word for gut health. Doing a show like this, you got to trust your gut. And so AG1 is going to help with that. And it's going to help with all kinds of other things. Your gut is very important. I wish I had not ignored my gut all these years.
AG1 conducted a study with key markers of high-quality research. So it's got third-party, double-blind, and placebo-controlled studies. And they're posting the results online from their studies. So at 30 days, 80% of the people in the research study noticed less gas and bloating. And at 90 days, 97% of the people felt their digestion had improved. If I had to recommend one product to support whole body health, it's AG1. And that's why I'm excited to welcome them as a new partner. It's easy and satisfying to start your journey with AG1. Try AG1 and get a free 1-year supply of vitamin D3K2 and 5 free AG1 travel packs with your first purchase at drinkag1.com/theworst. That's drinkag1.com/theworst.
Check it out. Now we'll get into the meat of it. Pick a number between 1 and 47.
Okay, pick a number. 35.
Okay, 35. What is question 35, Katie?
Ooh.
What was your worst relationship like?
Oh.
When I say what was your worst relationship, do you immediately know which one it is?
Well, I think of either my very first, talking to a boy on the phone relationship, or I think of the marriage that ended in divorce.
Was there a moment with the husband that you divorced where you thought, oh, this is over? Like you just crossed a line there.
It wasn't like, oh, this is over. It more was like, okay, this is over. You know, I was like holding it really, really, really tight, trying to keep this thing going, that it just made sense for us not to keep going in the same direction anymore.
Yeah. I mean, don't you? You must. I did a film about being chronically single, and I interviewed women only, and women have really, really embarrassing for a man to hear bad date stories. Do you have a bad date story, something stupid that somebody said or did or something on a date?
Oh, I don't have any terrible just hilarious bad date stories. It's more like the worst dates for me were the boring ones, where the conversation didn't flow and then they just sort of petered out when you got dropped off. Those made me want to slip my wrist. It's so sad. It makes you feel like, oh my God, I'm never going to find a spark.
When my ex and I broke up, I went online. And I had 13 first dates. And then I met my girlfriend. And I do remember some of them, we'd meet at a restaurant, and before we sat down, I'd want to say, let's just go. Let's just go. Yeah. Anyway, what were we talking about? I can't even remember. Pick another number, please.
Okay. How about 11?
11.
What is your worst regret?
Oof. My
biggest
worst
regret.
Biggest regret.
Besides agreeing to do this.
Or something that you regretting? I don't. The question is.
Do you even? What do you think about regret, Anna? Because some people would say regrets are.
Okay, I have one. I have a regret. Maybe this isn't funny. It is I think one of my biggest regrets.
It doesn't have to be funny. If we haven't been funny, whatever. But be consistent.
I am somebody, for whatever reason, industriousness was a real sort of thing that I thought I was really attached to as a teenager. I had a job working at a cafe where I would work on the weekends when I was in high school, would work all summers long. And then I got to college and I was all the way across the country from where I grew up. And I felt kind of out of sorts and I didn't belong. And so the first thing I did was I applied for a job at the bookstore on campus and took up some shifts there. And it was basically a way to fill my time so I didn't feel like I didn't know what I was doing. So I spent many, many hours my freshman year of college shelving books at the college bookstore, which was orderly. And it made me feel like I was doing something. But I didn't really need the money. It was very low-wage work, and it prevented me from kind of really leaning into learning how to create space for leisure, even when you were trying to get stuff done as a student. So I've kind of been in my 40s, just learning how to be no, this is your time for leisure, Anna. I just missed that phase of young adulthood.
That wasn't funny, but it was a really good answer. I'm being sincere.
Thank you.
That is similar to me. I lived at home during university, and so it was almost like high school continued, and all kinds of stuff, including even relationships and stuff like that, all just kind of were put off till after university because I just sort of kept going to school and coming home, and yeah, I regret that. I wasted my youth in a lot of ways. I'm going to assume that industriousness came from your parents, from them drilling it into you.
I think I could come up with reasons to blame my parents, but I think the more reason it's a big regret for me is this was self-imposed. And I think it was because of my discomfort for when I feel when I'm having times in life where I'm kind of floating and don't really know who my people are yet, or don't really know where I belong, I kind of grasp onto whatever structure is going to make me feel a little bit like I've got some scaffolding around me. So I think it's my fault.
I mean, that thing that you just said, I have to say, isn't everybody like that? I guess some people are more open to floating a little bit, and some people
they trust. They just they'll work out. I don't have that. I'm I must make myself safe.
I mean, I would say for me, I think I have that, but then I panic. Mm-hmm. And this show is the perfect manifestation of that. Oh, yeah, don't tell me anything. Don't give me research. Don't give me a plan. And then it's like, oh, fuck, what am I doing here? Okay.
Why
do we
didn't
have time
you prepare
for one
me?
more question?
Yeah, I think we have time for one more question.
Okay. No, you have to give me a number.
Oh, a number. Let's see. I said 35. I said 11. 27.
27. Hope it's a good one.
What's the worst thing someone has ever said about you?
About you. Ooh.
Oh, about me.
Well, you wouldn't know, right? Because they would say it behind your back. But what's the worst thing that ever got back to you?
Well, as somebody who makes something that goes out on the internet, sometimes I do see mean things that people say about me. It's not really behind my back. Sometimes they post it and then it shows up before my eyes. Knock on wood, up to this point, I have not been savagely humiliated publicly. But here's one, and this is kind of a window in. A listener wrote recently criticizing an episode that we made, and they wanted me to ask a set of questions that I hadn't asked. And they said it was because I lacked courage, and it was because I wanted everyone to like me. And that one kind of stung.
Yeah.
It's maybe not the worst thing, but it's kind of like, yeah.
No,
That's probably true. Probably I want most people to like me, so I'm always trying to thread that needle and asking hard questions while still being likable.
You know what the thing that reminds me of this? It's like you say to your friend, I hate that guy, and they go, well, they hate you too. And it's like, why do they hate me? What do they got to? What's the hate about me?
Oh, I bet because you're so charming, even if people don't like you, I bet when people don't laugh at your jokes, you're like, what the heck? I'm funny.
Well,
when your humor doesn't connect, that must be like disconcerting.
Yeah, that is very flattering what you said. I'm going to ignore it. But, I remember one time I said to my friend, sometimes I think I'm too much for some people. And he didn't say anything. I'm like, dude, that's where you're supposed to say, no. But no, he didn't say nothing. He just, yeah. Do you have different versions of yourself, Anna? Or are you always sweet Anna?
No, I certainly have different versions of me.
Are you ever too much for somebody?
I think so. But here's what I think. If I'm too much, it's often because they're people who are different enough from me that I, on close examination, might find them a little boring. So I'm like, if I'm too much for you, we're on different rhythms, and like, that's cool. God bless. This is myself in my 40s. It's so fun when you get to be with people where you get in that rhythm and you feel like you are really synced up. So I have less time for the ones who maybe don't tap in the same way.
I want you to guess. I've done 5 interviews. How many of the guests do you think I wasn't tapped in with?
Well, I wanted to know what you've learned from how you've been testing me, what you've been learning.
Mostly I'm learning how nervous I get when I don't know what I'm doing. Like, I think you and I could have a good conversation at dinner, but this is way more pressure than dinner. I think that I have to really, I'm being honest, to do this job, I have to be more patient. But, I put it on.
Alan.
My phone is on ignore.
Rookie mistake.
I don't even know where
this is
my
his
phone
first
is.
podcast, Anna. Apologies.
Where is it?
Well, moving around, I'm just noticing your George Jones T-shirt, which I hadn't fully taken in. That is awesome.
I was just in Italy, and I haven't done the laundry yet, and this is the only T-shirt that's left. I bought this in Nashville in 1994. It's the only, genuinely old T-shirt that I have, and yeah. And one time at the gym, now I have gray hair, so okay, but like 30 years ago, I was at the gym, and these kids were staring at me, and finally they said, "Is that you?" Yeah, I wear a T-shirt on myself. So, okay, before you go, why don't you tell us about your podcast, which I was ignoring the whole time, but what's your podcast called?
Oh, thank you, Alan. Thank you for asking. My podcast is called Death, Sex, and Money. So, in other words, we are telling people it's the best podcast by what we've named it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to listen to it.
Thank
and
you.
then later I'll want to redo the show that we've done after I listen to your show, because then I'll have good prompts.
Well, hang on. I have a question. You were saying you've done 5 interviews.
On this show.
On this show.
Yeah.
How many have you synced in with the guest? I think I'm going to say 5 for 5. What do you think?
Well, I would say, besides you, Anna, 1.5. The whole idea of this show on Katie's part and the producers and all that is
To watch you flail.
to watch me flail. Exactly.
It's so funny to hear Katie and that she's off camera. I feel like Katie is a very important character in this podcast. I hope you include her audio
Well, I
in the
asked-
final
yeah.
post-production.
Oh, no. She's in it, on it like a dirty shirt.
Putting that on my LinkedIn.
Okay. So is it time to wrap it up?
Yeah, it's time to wrap it up.
Anna, can I be on your show someday?
Maybe. I need
have
to
a
know.
lot to
I want
say
to know
about-
more about the becoming. You have one child who's 13, your first child?
Yeah, my only
I'm
child, one
interested
and
in
only
that.
child is 13. Her name is Keely.
Mm-hmm.
And she's the light of my life, of course.
Aw.
She's, yeah. Last night, we were talking about friends of ours, and there was absolutely no reason for her to say this, but she said to me, "Look, Daddy, some of my friends are vaping. I'm just up in my room reading books, so don't feel too bad." And I'm like, well, I wasn't feeling too bad until you told me that. Anyway, then I wanted to know what they were vaping, and she said, no.
Oh,
No,
not
there's
telling.
she has a look that she gives me that means, shut the fuck up, Dad. And we get there very often.
Yeah. It was so fun to talk to you. Thank you for having me on the Worst
Oh, well,
podcast.
it was fun to talk to you, and I'll look forward to the invitation to talk about sex, death, and
Money.
I heard you, Katie.
was this the worst?
No, it wasn't.
Oh,
I enjoyed myself.
then I failed. That was the Worst Podcast, a production of Double Podcasts from Canada Land. If you want to listen to every episode of this show ad-free, become a Canada Land supporter. Not only will you be helping us ensure we can continue making more of this show and others, but you'll get an extra exclusive episode of this show each week where me and Katie will do a debrief of the interview. I didn't know that they would be bonus episodes. I don't think anybody knew. But the debrief was always my favorite part of the show. So become a supporter and you can get those bonus episodes. You can listen to this podcast ad-free on Amazon Music, included with Prime. Okay,